So I want to talk about the way that like the term left is being used, at least in like the niche sort of internet politics circle that we are in right now. If you're watching this, you're in it. The way that the term left is used is essentially meaningless. Like a lot of the people who use the term left for themselves are just unambiguously liberals in the most obvious liberal way. A good example of this that I saw recently was that Dr. Him guy, who, anyone who knows anything about him will be able to say he's like a liberal. He's like a fucking Trudeau sort of liberal at that. Like the most mainstream liberal you could ever possibly imagine. And he's one of those guys who talks constantly about like what the left should do, how the left should be, like sort of trying to police what leftism is, which is very weird because you're not on the left. You're not on the left. You're just not on the left. And that's a reason why I've said this a while in the stream, but I haven't actually made a video about it, where like the vague identification of like being on the left is completely meaningless and mostly serves to allow people who are just not leftists to identify with the left and sort of move the Overton window further to the right and have them influence or at least try to influence sort of leftism. Essentially just normalizing further right beliefs, marginalizing the actual left from any sort of conversation by inserting themselves into leftist spaces and trying to hijack them with what are definitely not leftist ideas. If you want to be on the left, you're either an anarchist, a communist, well, basically just those two things. You're an anarchist or a communist. Like the way that people treat the left in these spaces that we're in is essentially as like a social club, right? Like they talk about the left like in the same way that someone might talk about like their local fucking chapter of like a fucking D&D club or something. Or like a Magic the Gathering club. Like, I'm concerned about where the left is going. I'm concerned about this. They're not concerned about the left. They're not concerned about actual political lefts. They're concerned about what they see as like a club that they're in, a special club. Sort of like a fandom, really. Because in reality, like when you look at someone like Dylan Burns, Mr. Heamed Out, Aristocracy TV, all these people talk about the left, or they either talk about the left as if they're a part of it, or they actively identify as being on the left. But they're not. They're bog standard liberals, boring ass milquetoast bog standard liberals who are not on the left in any conceivable way, shape, or form. But they talk about the left as if they are. They conceive of themselves as being on the left, and they try to prescribe what is right or wrong for the left, like how the left should be, what it should do, how it should act, what opinions people on the left should hold, how they should advocate, how they should analyze things, etc. And I think it's absurd. Like, they're not on the left. These people act like there's... Like, if you don't accept these people as being on the left, like you're doing gatekeeping, you're being exclusive, you're not being inclusive enough. But what the fuck? Yeah, I'm not, because these people are not remotely like me in any way, shape, or form. They don't share my politics at all. They're not even remotely on the left. And they're not just not like me. They're not like any leftists. They're not leftists. They're just not on the left. So why am I supposed to see them as being part of the left or doing something left politics? They're not even part of the left. It's absurd. And the reason why this happens is mostly because being on the left is, it's a social club, the social club sort of thing, as I said earlier, but it's also because it's seen as something trendy, right? It's like different. If you're on the left, you're cool. If you're a liberal, you're fucking boring, normal. You can't just call yourself a liberal. You got to identify with like the left movement, even though you're nothing to do with the left, and you sort of are actively and very aggressively against actual leftism, as people like Dylan Burns, Vorsh, and that Heem guy have shown themselves to be time and time again. These people have like an internationalist analysis of the world? No, they don't. Not even close. They just American exceptionalists or Western exceptionalist liberals. Nothing more and nothing less. But they identify as being on the left, and I think that is, for one, it's absurd and they shouldn't do it. But for two, it's like actively changing what it actually means to be on the left and moving the Overton window further and further right by doing so. So yeah, like everyone is not on the left, okay? I don't give a shit if they say they are. When their politics are very clearly not leftist in any way, shape, or form. I'm not going to pretend that they are just to be inclusive. I don't want liberals in my movement, man. Like if a liberal wants to be included on the left, how about they take up leftist ideas and then they can be included on the left? Easy solution. Life hack. That's all there is to it. Yeah, it's like they define themselves based on like what the right-wing conception of the left is, which is basically like anyone to the left of like fucking Mitt Romney for them is like a left-winger. When obviously that's fucking absurd. But they take that and run with it and claim that they're on the left.